The International Pedigree Stage Stop is one of the top dog sled races in the world. 500 miles through the Wyoming mountains. Every January, it's a 12-day test of endurance and courage. And this year, a rookie team dares to challenge the cream of the sport. The musher is Rachel Skidoris, just 15 years old, youngest of the racers by 8 years. But her team can run with the best.
Are you ready, honey? You ready, Pat? Ready?
These sled dogs are single-minded pulling machines that fly over the snow. Olympic-grade athletes capable of running 60 or 70 miles a day. And the leader of this pack, a dog named Johnny, is one of the best. A product of years of breeding and thousands of miles of training. As Johnny and the dogs pull the sled deep into the Rockies, Rachel is living the dream she's had since she was 3 years old and went on her first sled ride. The dream was born near Mount Bachelor, Oregon. Most of the neighbors raise cattle, but the Skidoris spread is home to nearly 100 dogs, many of them mixed huskies, some of the best sled dogs on the planet.
This is Nimrod, and this is his sister Gretchen. This is Kat. She's one of Maverick's puppies. And this is Vinny, Angel, Pia, Mandy, Venus.
The master of the yard is a veteran of the race circuit.
This is the famous Johnny. Won the North American 3 years in a row. And he's run Wyoming 4 or 5 times now. And so he will be one of my main leaders. Johnny is maybe one of the best dogs to ever walk the earth.
Johnny is the perfect dog for a young woman with exceptional dedication. Other teens party. Rachel works to build her stamina for the race. She's not only the youngest racer, Rachel is legally blind. She can see shapes and outlines, but only to a distance of 10 feet.
When the question of Rachel's vision comes up, I forget that she's visually impaired.
Rachel's dad, Jerry Skidoris, doesn't think it's a problem.
I mean, granted, it is unusual, without a doubt, to have a legally blind kid like Rachel competing against, the top competition in the world.
I can handle anything that gets thrown at me just like anyone else can handle it. I've grown up around these dogs, I pretty much know how to deal with anything from a dog who's a little tangled to a whole team of tangled dogs.
The Wyoming Ranch produces top-notch athletes. The whole operation here is devoted to their training.
Well, this is called a hot walker. We use this for the same purpose people use it for horses. It's just a nice way to keep the dogs moving if we don't want to take them for an actual run. Or if we think a dog might be sore, we'll put them on here and just let them walk around for a while to work it out.
There's no replacement for mileage. They start trail running early, just a couple of miles at first, then longer stretches. The dogs grow up with a powerful love for running. The Wyoming race is one of the longest and most difficult courses in the world, and Rachel's father knows the dogs will need plenty of race fuel.
This bag is filled with kind of like power food for dogs, electrolyte mix, sodium, potassium replacements. I'd say about 150 pounds worth of rocket fuel for dogs.
The truck carrying the equipment is almost as important as the lightweight sled. Johnny and the rest of the team are the best on the ranch, and the race requires every last ounce of their strength and endurance. The weather is unusually severe. There's blowing snow, and Rachel's already compromised vision is often reduced to zero. The hard miles and penetrating cold take their toll.
I am totally exhausted now. I hit the wall yesterday, and it was a really hard wall. You know, it was like a ton of bricks.
During the Wyoming race, Johnny and the team make climbs up to 10,000 feet altitudes and then plunge back down on trails full of switchbacks and 90-degree turns. The wind chill factor is always there. Most nights, the mushers sleep indoors, but there are 3 campouts during the race. Everyone is cold, tired, and hungry. The dogs eat ravenously, and there's special ointment for tender paws. Even after more than 300 miles, they're all still strong and eager to keep going.
Johnny and these guys, you know, they'd love to do it again. They're not the least bit tired.
Early morning, but once they're awake, it's just another working day for the dogs.
This is day 10. Just 2 more days.
Despite her exhaustion, Rachel straps protective booties onto Johnny and the others. Her concern keeps her team in top form, and the dogs are still so eager, Rachel has trouble holding them back. As the race wears on, the trails seem more treacherous. Rachel must rely on Johnny's eyes and the team's experience even more. The dogs run anywhere between 15 and 64 miles a day. And most days, Johnny leads the team. But even the great ones sometimes make mistakes. Nearing the end of another day, running hard, Johnny takes a wrong turn.
They changed the trail this year. Johnny was used to taking another one, and he decided he wanted to take last year's trail. So, you know, he busted through a few volunteers, smashed me into one of those barricade things, and got dragged on my belly for about 100 yards.
Accidents seem inevitable for Rachel with her reduced vision, but she tries to ignore them. Time after time, her determination kicks in. After a fall, Rachel climbs back on the sled, and the team continues as if nothing had ever happened. After 500 miles, Rachel is heading for home. Up against the best dog sled teams in the world, Rachel and Johnny have placed 19th out of 22.
Next team across the finish line, our youngest musher this year, we have Rachel Sidoris of Oregon. Welcome to Alpine, Rachel.
It's an amazing debut in the world of big-time racing. Rachel, legally blind and the youngest in the race, did it. Guided by Johnny, her tough lead dog, Rachel stuck out the 500 miles of icy bumps, the 12 days of howling weather, the 3 frigid campouts. She's exhausted beyond words. But her team started and finished with 16 healthy dogs. Not one was forced to drop out.
500 miles.
I don't drink, smoke, or do drugs, but these dogs have got me hooked. I've raised most of these guys from like the size of my palm to fully functioning sled dogs. And, you know, just like a parent would be proud of their kid who was just like valedictorian or something. Yeah, I'm just as proud as these dogs.
And Wyoming was just the beginning. Rachel hopes to take her team all the way to the Olympics. Bozo was 2.5 years old when he was evaluated on tape by the Mira Foundation in Montreal. The people at Mira train service dogs, and they wanted Bozo to be trained as an assistance dog. He had to be able to deal with people, food, and distractions like cats. Bozo also had to be friendly, yet calm, because Chantal Jutras needed a dog to be her arms, her legs, and her full-time companion. Chantal has a hereditary muscular disease, diagnosed at the age of 3. At 14, she was confined to a wheelchair. When Chantal reached her early 30s, she could no longer care for herself. And that's when 2.5-year-old Bozo came into her life.
When I asked for a dog, my goal was to become more independent. That was very clear in my mind. I was in a phase where I had lost a lot of abilities and I was reevaluating my situation, living alone, working. And when they started to talk to me about an assistance dog, I thought maybe with a dog, I'll regain a certain autonomy, a certain quality of life that will allow me to continue doing what I like. I wouldn't have anyone deciding for me at what time I'm going to get up, or any of the other limitations you'd find in an institution.
The Mira Foundation also videoed Chantal at home to evaluate her needs. She was good-natured and double-jointed, but getting in and out of bed had become a major physical problem.
With this disease, I have problems with my balance, so staying still while someone's trying to help me is not easy.
Chantal's laughter hid the seriousness of her situation. 2 caregivers were needed, and social services would only pay for one. Life in an institution loomed.
Some people live in an institution, that's okay, it's a way of life. But I work and I'm very active, so it's not really something, it's more like a prison.
The assessments by Mira predicted that Bozo would be a good dog for Chantal, and they began their life together. To accommodate Bozo, who weighs 110 pounds, Chantal bought a house with her mother.
My mother is a truly wonderful woman. She's always been there to support me in my independence, to improve my life. Whatever it was, she's always been there. And having a dog was great for her too, because every time I dropped something, she would have to pick it up. My mother's not getting any younger. It's not always easy for her to have to do everything for me.
After 12 weeks of training, it only took another 12 weeks for Bozo and Chantal to become a smooth working team. Bozo even follows Chantal's laser to retrieve items.
He's a very useful dog. He improves my life. As much as I used to be depressed, discouraged, and asking myself serious questions like if I even wanted to keep fighting, with him, there's no question. We just do our things together.
Bozo is a Labrador, a new crossbreed between a Lab and a Bouvier Bernois. The Lab in Bozo wants to fetch anything Chantal wants, and the sheep-herding instinct of the Bouvier Bernois wants to keep everything together. Plus, Bozo has his own gentle, easygoing nature that makes him completely devoted.
One day someone said to me, having to have a dog help you. Don't you find that humiliating? Of course not, because for me, he's an extension of my body. He's part of me. If I can't pick up a can because it's too heavy, I'll ask him and he'll do it. He and I were one.
Three days a week, Chantal works at the Royal Bank in downtown Montreal. And of course, Bozo is there working too.
Oui. Merci, Monsieur Belrose.
Bienvenue.
Passez une bonne journée à vous aussi.
He's lively, yet sensitive. He's calm enough to swipe Chantal's magnetic security card. And he's intelligent enough to perform tasks involving a series of steps. Before Bozo came into her life, Chantal could end up at home in her winter coat with no one there to help her out of it. She often had to sit, bundled up in her coat for hours. Chantal works as a customer service representative with Bozo.
Couche avec moi. Ça, c'est un bon garçon.
If I'm on the phone and I drop a pen, he picks it up. That's great, to see that your dog does something for you and it's not an effort. It's not like, come on, do it. He'll pick it up for you on his own. That is amazing.
One day, Chantal bent over and then couldn't get back up.
I could barely even say his name, but instantly he dropped his toy and came to push me up. It's all of these things that proved that Bozo was very different. To see that he's completely attentive and devoted to me, I realized that he was the true gem I was looking for.
Getting out has become part of their life together. Assistance dogs like Bozo are very recent, so no one knows what their life expectancy will be with the stress of working 24 hours a day, even in restaurants.
He's going to be 5 soon, so I watch him very closely. I want him to jog, to do a lot of exercise, to play ball with me, all in order to make his muscles strong.
Bozo loves the winter. Unlike most of us who put on weight in the winters, Bozo burns it off. It's the heat of summer that makes him sluggish and heavy. And Chantal also has to be very careful how he eats. When he senses stress or nervousness around him, Bozo gets an upset stomach, and gobbling down his dinner only makes it worse. So Chantal has worked out how to keep him healthy. She puts his food into a toy, and Bozo is forced to eat slowly. It's more than an act of kindness. It's the wonderful benefit of Bozo that no one had considered, the sense of being needed.
When you have limitations, you need the help of a lot of people to lift you, to help you get dressed. You always need another person. This is the first time in my life that it's the opposite. My dog needs me. My dog needs me to feed him. He needs me to caress him. He waits for me. It seems silly, but it makes a big difference. I'm finally useful to someone else. Someone else finally needs me.
Attention, bobo au nez. Concentre. Juste à côté de mon bébé. Oui.
These days, to get into bed, Chantal must put on wrist braces and be helped by Annie Martel, her caregiver, and of course, by Bozo. His night job is to lay his 110 pounds across Chantal to keep her from falling out of bed.
Honestly, I don't know how long he'll be able to work. I seem to think that he will be the one to tell me that he can't keep up anymore. Of course, at one time I used to think, how will I be able to get on without him? But that's not something I want to think about. I'm enjoying my life so much now. Now, life is wonderful. He's wonderful. I don't want to think about the future. Of course, I don't plan on leaving him anytime soon. We'll still be together for quite a while. This dog has allowed me to blossom, to come back to life in a way. So many things were no longer a source of joy for me. This dog brought that joy back to me.
Flip-Flop's owner, David Samuel, felt guilty that he could brave the cold British seas, but poor Flip-Flop couldn't. And a 4-year-old mutt is not about to grow a seaworthy coat, so David came up with a brilliant solution.
We're going surfing, little doggy.
What's this?
Yeah, we're going surfing, little doggy. We're going surfing, little doggy.
With his new custom wetsuit, Flip-Flop is a real dude, ready to board with David.
We're going surfing, little doggy. We're going surfing, little doggy. We're going surfing, little doggy. Yeah, we're going surfing, little doggy. So put your wetsuit on, we're going surfing all day long. Surfing, little Flip-Flop and me. We got a dog on the board and it's going aboard. He's surfing up and down the coast like a seasoned pro. He's not afraid of the waves, he's the latest craze. He's got his wetsuit on, he's going surfing all day long.